All right. So we're going to do example 1. We're going to write percents as a fraction. Okay, the first one we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and write 76% as a fraction. And whenever you're asked to write a percent as a fraction, I'm going to ask you to write it in simplest form, whether it says it or not. Okay? So if I'm going to write 76% as a fraction, I need to first write 76% before simplest form as a fraction. And I know a percent is always out of 100, so I'm going to write 76 over 100. Okay? Then I need to simplify these because I need to write it in simplest form. I look at these and I'm going to double check with simplifying. I should always check 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11 are those numbers that go into the two numbers. If they do go into both numbers, then I'm going to simplify it by dividing by that number. Okay, and that's how I'm going to write it in simplest form. So I look at these numbers and I notice they're both even, which means I know 2 goes into both of them. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by 2. Okay, 76 divided by 2 is 38. And 100 divided by 2 is 50. And now I have 38 50ths, which I notice they're even again, so I know I can divide both of them by 2 again. If I would have recognized that 4 goes into both 76 and 100, then I could have divided by 4 right away and saved myself a step. But it doesn't matter. Okay, 38 divided by 2 is 19, and 50 divided by 2 is 25. So I have 19 25ths. Okay, look, they're not even. Neither of them are even, so 2 does not go into 19 or 25. 3 does not go into 19 or 25. 5 goes into 25, but not 19. 7 doesn't go into either, and 11 doesn't go into either. So those are the main ones I'm checking. The reason I can skip some of the other ones there is because if 2 was a factor, then I know there's a chance that 4 or 6 or 8 would have been. So I can skip some of those when I know 2 isn't a factor. Okay, so 19 25ths is simplest form for 76%. Okay, let's try B. Let's go ahead and write 118% as a fraction. Again, in simplest form. So when I write this, I'm going to go ahead and start by writing 118 over 100 because a fraction or a percent is always out of 100. Now I look at this and I notice that the numerator is larger than the denominator, which was different than the first one. Well, the first one was less than 100%, so my fraction was less than 1. Okay? In this case, however, 118 over 100 is an improper fraction. So I notice my numerator is larger than my denominator, so I'm actually going to be able to pull out a whole number. You can choose to do this right away or at the end, your choice, but you will eventually have to write it as a mixed number. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to go ahead and write in this fraction as a mixed number right off the bat. So if I have 118, I know I can pull out one whole. I subtract 100 from 118 and I get 18. It's pretty easy math for me. Over 100. So 118 hundredths is the same thing as 1 18 hundredths. And I just wrote my number as a mixed number. But I still have to simplify it. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and simplify this. And I notice that 18 and 100 again are both even. So I can divide them both by 2. Okay, biggest thing people forget is they forget to bring over the whole number. So when you're doing this, you already pull a whole number out, you need to bring it over. So I'm going to bring the whole 1. 18 divided by 2 is 9, it's the fraction. And 100 divided by 2 is 50. Well, 9 and 50, 50 is even, but 9 is not, so 2 does not go into both. 3 goes into 9, but not 50. 5 goes into 50, but not 9. 7 doesn't go into either, and 11 doesn't go into either. So I know my simplest form is 1 and 9 50ths. Again, when the percent is larger than 100%, you're going to have a number larger than 1. When your percentage is less than 100%, your fraction is going to be less than 1. And that's one way you can check yourself as well. If you get a fraction larger than 1 and your fraction's less than 100%, then you know you did something wrong. All right, the last one that we're going to look at. We're going to go ahead and write 100% as a fraction. Again, in simplest form. Okay, so when I get 100%, I'm going to go ahead and write 100% as 100 over 100. They're the same number. So to simplify, I can divide them both by 100. 100 divided by 100 is 1, and 100 divided by 100 is 1. I know 1 over 1 is simply 1. So my simplified version of 100% is 1.